Yeah, but we're live. And so if you're just joining us live, this is what we're going over. I'll say it again. We are going over clients' personalities and emotions, how to read them quickly in 2 minutes or less. How do you assess them? And then how do you change the way you communicate with them? Not only that, but how do you handle your own emotional responses given different clients' personality types? So this is our, we do this every other week. It's called Emotional Gymnastics for Real Estate Agents. Thank you to Lab Code Agents for hosting this every other week. We think emotional gymnastics. Junkie, what does emotional gymnastics mean to you?
It's the emotional side of our transactions. It's the emotional side of our business. It's the emotional side of how we talk, we walk the talk, or we walk the walk, we talk the talk, and become successful entrepreneurs in real estate, you know?
I love it. And we are two of your hosts. We have a rotating cast of characters. Let's see. Oh, and Jeff says, what's happening? Just what's up, Jeff Russell? Good to see you, man. So we've got people watching here. If you are watching on Facebook, if you have comments or questions, you can chat them into the box. We have a Q&A here. Feel free to jump in. We will monitor the Q&A in Zoom. If you're on the Facebook side, Jake, if somebody keeps an eye on that, lets us know if there's any questions. But it's going to be myself. I'm Jesse Zagorski, and we have Junkie Patel. We are both agents that have run, I'd say, medium-sized teams at this point, large teams, whatever size you call them, for many, many years, and have worked with lots of clients. And we're going to start with a few different questions. The first one I'm going to ask to Junkie is, how do you read a person's personality from spending just like 2 minutes with them? How do you read a person's personality?
I think it is all about the question you ask them, right? What are the key questions you ask? Simple as that. How do you get to know somebody at a level of authenticity in the next in 2 minutes, right, Jesse? And we have these conversations with our buyers, with our sellers, and what is it that we're asking them? How do they respond to it? It could be that they're not, they could have a shield and not be their authentic self, right? But how do you, not profile, but how do you find out their personality, their disc profile in 2 minutes?
But in a way, you are profiling them. I'm right. Like, we're not trying to generalize and stereotype.
Yes.
But if we're going to break the world into different types of personalities, right? You do want to try to make some similarities between what you recognize in this person you're talking to and someone you've seen before that has a similar personality type, so you can communicate in the same way. So what types of questions are you asking them?
So I ask what kind of work, where do they work? So here's how I start off. And basically I just say, hey, I just want to basically know a few questions I'm going to ask you. And I just want to basically know, what is it that you're looking for? Where is it that you're looking to buy? And are you looking for something close to your work? And by the way, just for my own, out of curiosity, I just want to know, where do you work? Or where does your wife work? Right? And if they say, well, we work at Google. All right, great. And what do you do for a living? Or you can ask, what do you do for a living? Because I want to make sure, and how do you take it into your flow of questions to not offend them or, digging, you're becoming too curious, would be to say, I just want to make sure that if you're looking for a property close to your home, close to your work, I want to make sure that I can accommodate and send those listings to you, or I can accommodate you. So
do you feel,
I think it's very conversational, Jesse.
Do you feel like it's an offensive question to ask where they work? I feel like it's a pretty easy thing to ask people, no?
Yeah, it's a very easy thing to ask. I ask all day. In fact, I just converted a couple of leads before getting on this phone because I was doing my lead generation. And I asked that question. I asked, where do you work? So and the reason why, and I also say the reason why I'm asking you this question is because I want to make sure that I am keeping in mind your commute, keeping in mind your travel needs, keeping in mind, and then we just keep going. And then, and at that point, they're very, very open to saying, oh yeah, I work at Intel, and I'm an account manager or whatever it is, And you get to know, and when you get to know their job position, it doesn't always mean that is the profile that is the disc profile. You can only say that, okay, in their professional world, they are a C, they're analytical. 99% of the people that I work with they're all engineers, right? So I know their disc profile. They're more of a DC or a CD. They might have an I in them somewhere, somehow. They've also got a little S. Every one of us has this DISC, every one of us. everybody has the whole DISC.
Yeah,
But some people lead with a certain certain category, I guess.
Yeah. And if anybody watching doesn't have, a pretty thorough knowledge of DISC, let us know. We can go back and kind of recap some of the basics. I'm assuming a lot of people watching this, I recognize some of the names, have studied the DISC. It's one of the many personality assessments that are out there, right. DISC, but I'll keep an eye on the Q&A box in case people want us to break that down. But other than work, what other sort of questions are you asking people?
What do they like to do for fun? Do they spend a lot of time in the backyard? Do they want a great room? Do they want to put a ping pong table there? Or what is the reason why they want certain things in their home?
And what are you looking for when you ask those questions? Like, let's say someone says they want a big family room. They have a lot of, and with COVID now, people are not having a lot of parties, but they make a reference to they like to have a lot of parties over. What are you looking for when you're asking those sort of questions?
When I'm asking them those questions, I think it is more asking them what do they do in their free time, because then I get to know their hobbies. And if someone just likes to sit there and watch TV all weekend long, just on Netflix binge watch sometimes, or sometimes they like to go back horse riding. What am I trying to find out is, do they have an eye in them, or do they like to host parties? Are they social? And that's how I know that they've got that eye in them, right?
And when she says I, by the way, what we're talking about is like an interpersonal, right? So you're looking for, are they social people? Do they like to be surrounded by a lot of strangers or a small circle of close friends? These are things that fit into the ways you're going to communicate with them as you're going through this, right? This is someone just asked in the chat box, Leticia asked, what are you looking for? That's what I want to dive into is, once you ask the question, what are the clues that you're looking for, right? So you're looking for, do they like to have people around them? Do they like to be by themselves? Do they have a strong aesthetic sense to them? Right? Are they drawn more to the aesthetics, or they draw more to functional things?
Right.
It's going to change how you communicate in other ways during the transaction.
Exactly. And I think it's very important to ask these key questions, because you get to know them better. And then in return, you get to cater them according to their personalities, right? Our business is all about catering to our clients' needs and wants, demands, whether they're a seller. How do you know if a seller is very analytical? How do you know a seller is like, I really don't care what you do with the home, just get me the best price, bottom line. That's a D. You will get to know a person just by talking to them. Are they looking for historicals in the area? Are they looking for inventory data? Are they looking for statistics? Obviously, that's a C, right? So when asking the right questions, you get to know them, and you get to know their personality, Jesse. That's
what does it tell you if someone cuts you off? You ever talk to a client who interrupts you a lot and cuts you off? What does that tell you?
That is like D. They want to talk. They want to be acknowledged. They want to be, they want to give you their feedback. They want to know. And most of us are drivers. Most of us are, the C's will be very quiet. They'll analyze the data. They'll analyze how you're talking. They'll trust me, my husband is one. Trust me. So
but you said most of us are drivers. I don't think most of us are drivers. I think in real estate, you have a lot of high I's, the interpersonal, and the S's. I think it's a smaller group that's actually the driver.
You're right. I meant to say a lot of us are I's and S's.
Right. Yeah. So how do you make it win-win to serve clients at the highest level? Like once you've identified and you start to figure out, okay, I know a little bit how to read them just based on the questions I'm asking them and the things they're answering and the types of questions they're asking me. Then what do you do? How do you make this win-win with them?
I cater to what their profile is. One of the clients that is an engineer, we just got off the phone with him, and obviously there's issues with the inspection reports, which obviously some issues in the foundation. How did we talk to them into calming him down that, look, you know what, the location, prime location is important. He's a C. He needs to hear everything. He needs to read all the disclosures, which obviously, yes, we recommend that. But he was very much diving into certain parts of the home inspection report. And we were prepared because we knew his personality. He's going to dig and ask us questions about that particular foundation issue that was there, or that
you can research and get prepared before having that conversation because you know his personality type.
Yes. And then I also picked up on where he said, we love the location. Guess what I said then? Location is key. Have you heard of the phrase location, location, location? And he's like, you're right. He was thinking of not submitting an offer, and the home is listed at 1.3. We have to go significantly over. But then I heard his voice getting a little shaky. And so I said, you don't have to go that high. You just do what you're comfortable with. You have to listen to what your clients are saying.
So let's pause right there, because when you talk about personality types, you said you heard his voice getting shaky, and this is something that, because you've been an agent for so long, you start to cue in on these things. But even earlier on in your career, you just get an intuitive sense if you're feeling like someone's a little uncomfortable. Do you think it's because he was a detail-oriented type person, right? The C personality type, that engineer type. Was that part of why he was feeling uncomfortable going higher in this offer, or does that nothing to do with the personality type?
Yes. I think he's analytical, right? So he is going to be nervous. A high D will just say, hey, you know what? I want this home. I don't care what it is. Get it for me.
I was just going to say, they want to win at all costs, right? If they want to win at all costs. And then if you have the people who are more, if you've heard things from them that are more interpersonal in connection, where they have these families, they don't want to look bad in front of someone else. Not that any human being wants to look bad, but they'll put more emphasis on not looking bad to their family, friends, or making a bad decision, versus the detail-oriented people. Their main concern is making sure they don't misread the data, right? Or making sure they don't make a bad decision from that analytical standpoint.
Right. I think it's very important to gauge that. Like an S is more secure. So that, engineers have that also, that S in them, right? Very safe, very secure in making decisions. Also the way they talk, like you and I, Jesse, we talk so fast. Like Priyanka talks really fast. Those are your Ds right there. Those are the drivers right there. While an analytical person will be very, very detailed in their conversation, and they do not like to get cut off. Just know that.
Agree. Okay, so then a related question: do people ever transcend their personality types?
Of course.
Okay, so how do you look for those moments, and what do you do in those moments?
The conversations. We had a client that was a high D and now is more like a C, very analytical, very careful of the next home they pick because they didn't like certain things. And their career is not being an analytical person, actually. They're more of a pharmacist. They're in pharmaceutical, right? And they're a manager of a pharmacy. So guess what? Social skills, right? Sales skills, right? And that's where their IS comes in, because they have to mingle with other people. They have to talk about the meds. They have to, make their staff happy. So there is an I and there is an S, security, being careful. And of course, when they do their dosages and all that good stuff, and there's their C right there. So he's now more of a, and you know what I do is I always take note. Whenever I do a buyer sheet, I always put their disc profile, what I think that is. And then in the end of it all, when they close on their transaction, I actually put their true disc profile from the first time I met them to the last time I met them. And if they're my repeat client, now I know I can go back and look at those profiles and say, okay, this is what they were the last time. Wonder what it is this time, because everyone
changes over time.
They do change over time.
Interesting. And what cues you in that it's changed over time? Like just the things they're saying, the way they communicate.
The conversations, the questions. If I ask them one question again, how are they responding to me? Are they really slow and detailed in their answer, like I'm talking right now, or are they like, listen, you know what? I don't have the time. I need you to get this done now. Look at my tonality, look at my answers, right? And that's how I know.
Interesting. And do you ever choose, clients you want to work with, or are you ever picky about the clients you want to work with?
I do have the option to do that now. Yeah.
And how about when you were a new realtor? Like when you were a new realtor, did you pick and choose, or no? I
couldn't, because again, it's feast or famine in our business, right? So I got to make sure that my family was taken care of, right? At that time, I was the only one working. So I didn't pick and choose. I actually had to learn the hard way that I don't have a choice.
Well, that's right. So we normally have a co-host on with us guys named Priyanka. If you guys know her, she might be joining us sometime here, but we were having this really fun discussion offline, and I wish she was here right now, because she was very, very passionate about the fact that you should be very critical of who you choose as your clients right from the get-go.
Yes.
Right? And it's always worked out for her in her career, which is interesting, because I've been more like you, Junkie. I've always worked with whoever comes my way. I will be a chameleon. I will make it work with anyone. Yes. I'm going to go do what I need to do. But it does put you in situations that are sometimes uncomfortable. You're like, oh man, like this isn't really the right client to work with, but I'm going to make it work. And you don't end up doing a lot of other deals with that person.
Right.
Priyanka, she does repeat deals over and over with the same clients.
Yeah. And I admire Priyanka so much, because her personality is definitely a high D, just like both of us. But she had an opportunity, and she actually, not even an opportunity. She, from the very get-go, chose her clients. I mean, how many clients did she fire? Oh my goodness, See, I don't want to work with you, but you and I, we don't have that. We didn't have that choice, right? I mean, just to know that, it's amazing how she does it,
I'm curious. Type in the box, guys, if you're in the chat or on Facebook. I'm curious if you've ever fired a client. I want to know if anyone's watching us has fired a client. I think in my 16 years, I might have fired one client. Priyanka was like, I refer this person out and that person out. She doesn't call it firing. She just says, she just goes and says that they're not going to work the way she likes to work. They're not going to fit personality wise, and she'd rather refer them to a different agent. Right.
And I think she has her criterias of who she wants to work with. We see a lot of people saying in the chat that they have fired people. Yep. That is awesome. And I have too, but not as many as I have recently, And not many.
Why are you firing more clients recently?
Because a lot of people ask for commission rebates, and that is not me. That's not how I work.
Got it.
That's, something that has been set as a precedency, not a precedency, but it's been set in our real estate community by realtors that are discounted realtors, and you and I, Jesse, are not, right? And for me to really make, like my past client asked me for a rebate, and I explained to him why I'm not going to give him a rebate back. And guess what? We closed on 4 transactions just in the past 5 months.
That's awesome.
Because he respected the fact that, gosh, you do a lot of work. Sorry about that. You do a lot of work, and this is not the time for me to really ask for commission rebates. So it's a conversation, right?
Yeah, and we had, and you're spot on. Sue just typed in the box that in the chat box, she said it's because Priyanka knows she will not show up for how her client needs her, and you're totally spot on. That is exactly it. She is, if you know Priyanka, I mean, she is very straight to the point, very doesn't pull her punches. She's going to tell you exactly how she feels. If that's not going to work for her client, she knows right off the bat, and she's going to get the people that want that in a realtor, they love her. The people that don't, and she'd much rather refer those out right off the bat.
Exactly. And you know what, Letitia, thank you for that comment that you said. I like that you touched on the rebate and discounting. I think it is so important that we don't talk about it. And I don't know why we shy away from this topic, Jesse. And I think we should have a webinar just on this, because either we teach other realtors that this is not the right thing to do, or we talk about why is it not the right thing to do, and why is it important not to give away your money, and what are the benefits when they are hiring you. Wouldn't you agree? What is the value we're bringing to our clients, right? And why why would you say that you don't want to work with a discounted broker, and why is it that you say that you want to work with a Ritz-Carlton kind of service realtor, right? I think it's very important for us to actually do something, Jess, about this, talk about this.
Well, we can schedule time. We can chat about it anytime. You know me, I love it. So let's in terms of, do different personality styles have different underlying emotions, right? And we can tie this back into commission rebates and discounts again, because I think it'll probably pop back up. But do you find that different personality styles have different underlying emotions? Like, for example, are engineers more prone to anxiety? It's a gross generalization, but right. Can we make a statement like that? What do you think?
can you make that kind of a statement? I think all of us have anxiety. Even our high Ds have anxiety, and we're all over the place. Like, okay, we know the problem. Let's get to the conclusion now, or let's get to the solution. While the C will say, well, let me see why this was a problem. Let me analyze what. I'm like, I don't care. I don't care. It's a problem. Let's solve it. No. Why did it happen? And why do we have? How can we make and ensure that it will not happen again? Let's dive into that. I'm like, no, I don't want to dive into that. I want to solve the problem and move on.
But I think
in our house, in my home, every single day,
right.
You know,
and I think that was actually the kind of the point there, is that every personality type is going to actually have the same underlying emotions. They're just going to manifest differently.
Exactly.
Right? Everyone's got anxiety. People who are excited, like, right, you have a high D is going to show up different than someone who is more of an outgoing interpersonal person, what that excitement is going to show up as, versus someone who's an engineer. I don't know if you guys have ever had clients that you can't tell they're excited. Like, I'm a pretty excitable person. I talk fast. You have clients that are actually truly happy and you can't tell.
I have
they're
to
so even keel.
Yeah, and I have to say, Jesse, those are your C's. They will not show emotions. Right. There is no emotion. If you talk to a C, like we have couples where the wife is more of a, she say stay-at-home mom, and she'll be totally excited and emotional about the kitchen, about the great room, living room, and all that good stuff. And the husband's like, okay, yeah, talk to me about numbers. Talk to me about return of investment. That's exactly the kind of catering you want to do. And when you do that, you win them and their friends and their family members too.
Yeah, 100%. And those of you, by the way, if you haven't taken your DISC personality test yourself lately, go take one and see, especially if you've taken it a while back, see if it's changed over time. I find that our own DISC style changes over time. Mine's changed a lot over the years. Has yours changed at all?
Absolutely. I mean, when I started this in this industry, I was an SDC, right? SDC, me. And now I'm like a 99 or I think a 99 or 98 I and a 99D. And where did that S go? I'm like, it's security. I don't care about security right now. I care about, let's get this done and over with, and let's move on, you know? So
let me ask you a question about you. And if the S, typically the way I look at the S is that someone is, they have a small group of really close friends, right? And now I is more of lots of acquaintances. Did you shift in that do you actually in your life have less close friends and just more acquaintances?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely, I do. Because, when I don't want to go out there and mingle, I'm saying, I don't want to deal with you. I just want to have it shut down right now. I just want to focus on, just doing nothing and chilling. While other times I'll be like, hey, look at the webinars I do. Jake is going crazy because I'm constantly on webinars. Agents, because I'm asked to host or I'm asked to be on webinars. And, Jake probably sees me, 2 times a week, at least 1 or 2 times, and, here I am. I like that because you know what? I have so much to share with people. I want to be able to be a part of a group because you want to educate them. You want to share your experiences with them. You want to be able to cater to our realtor community, right? It's time that us as leaders, Jesse, we share our experiences on this platform. And that's why I do the webinars that I do.
I love it. And if you have clients that are like that, you're going to engage with them and make sure that you are filling that need so you can help them feel that sense of connection, right?
Exactly.
It's interesting. Okay, so someone asked the question, Leticia asked, do you have a book to share on personality types? Interesting. I have never read a specific book on DISC or personality types. I've learned it more from webinars, trainings, seminars over the years. Do you have a book you've ever read on this, Janki?
No, I learned this, the DISC profile, and I dug deeper and I actually implemented it in all our systems. I teach it to my admin staff. I teach it to my buyer's agents. But no, I didn't read a book. I just basically learned from the DISC profile itself. Yeah.
Interesting. I'll have to check and see. I'll look and see on the video when this gets posted in Lab Code Agents. If I can find a good book, I'll tag it or I'll send it direct to you, Leticia, or anybody else. I'll just post a link in there if they can find a good book on this. All right. Go ahead.
you this, Jesse. What are your thoughts? How do you gauge your clients? Or do you do a quick 2-minute assessment?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I listen. So a lot of the questions you ask, but I also look for the choice of words they say. So someone who is detail oriented is going to use words like specific, exact, strategic. And I'm going to do my best to use those same words back when speaking to that person. So even if I don't know what personality style they are, if you just use the same words back with someone, that's going to handle that. But someone who is more, excitable, they're going to use different sorts of, I can't even think of what type of, I'm trying to give some examples of words they would use. Someone who's excitable. It's not even in the choice of words. For them, it's more of in how they say them, or how they say the words, how they carry themselves.
Yeah.
If someone is body posture that's more rigid, they could either be that the driver dominant, or possibly they are the engineer, and you're going to listen for the words to see which one they are. But if they're more just fluid in their movement, they're probably going to be more of an outgoing interpersmal person. When you're if you're taking a listing and you're sitting in the house and they're talking like this, and that's right, that they're probably more of an high I interpersonal person. Is it the same sort of thing?
I do the same. And here's the thing. Jake always told me that, you're always early to your webinars. You are definitely you have some I in you, a C in you. And your analytical people, or your analytical engineers, they always want to be on time. And, the body languages that we all do, that is more interpersonal. That's what more of an I. So when I see this with the wife, and I see that she is more gravitated towards a certain area of the home, I know that is more of an emotional side to the profile, while the husband is more in the garage and looking at the electronics, looking at the electrical panels and looking at the roof and the cracks or anything like that in the home. He's more analytical and more detailed about the home, right?
So did you just figure out why then I show up late to everything? Is that why?
Yeah, I showed up late today. I thought I was late, but
and for half the agents watching, they're like, "Oh, is that why I show up late to things?" What, right? That's one of the things that as a realtor early on, I had to learn, because my personality type definitely lends towards showing up late. If you have clients also, by the way, that show up late, I do think, though, I have had some engineer clients that do tend to run late. So I don't know if it's always necessarily engineers show up early, but you're right. A lot of engineers do. They get there early. They have a clipboard. They know what they're doing. Before we run out of time, I want to ask a couple other related questions. What do you do when you don't click with a client? Like, how do you adapt? Because we already said you're probably not firing a lot of those clients, but how do you adapt, you personally, when you don't click with a client?
How do I adapt? I pull out I mirror and match. I think it's so important to mirror and match, because they will understand that you are comfortable with them and they should be comfortable with you. Even though I don't want to work with them, I somehow make it work. This particular client, I told him, listen, this is a market where you will have to go above asking. And he didn't like that. His ego got bruised a little bit. But how do I recover back from a bruised ego to say, hey, I'm here to help you and help you understand the process of buying? I backed off. And I didn't talk to him for a couple of days. He came back to me, and before I went into more detail about the property with him, because my buyer's agent was showing it to him, I let her take the role on it, which is my daughter. I didn't respond to the chat boxes. At the end of the day, he's the one who came back and said, Janki, because you've got some great experiences and you've got amazing reviews, blah, 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 I want to work with your team. But I do want to say that you're right. I did my research. And your daughter, someone sent me, Altos research, blah, blah, So it was to where I didn't want to work with him, but yet we managed to kind of cover it all up together. But
for you, the takeaway was, if you didn't click, so your first step was you stepped back. You took a step back, right? You paused.
Yeah. With my D personality, it was so hard, but sometimes we have to do that, right? I would be more like a driver saying, okay, come on, let's go. Come on, let's go. Come on, let's go, But with some clients, you do need to step back because their personalities are different. You don't want to step on their toes. Otherwise, they're going to, In this industry, we're dime a dozen, sadly.
Right.
We are.
Right.
Your value proposition, however, your unique value proposition is different from everyone, hopefully. And that's what makes us different, right?
Yeah. I mean, for me, when I don't click, my mom actually taught me this years and years ago. My mom does this naturally, and I had to learn it as a skill. Because if I want to work with someone, I have to find something in them that I like. Mm-hmm. Even if a lot of them is not likable, and you guys have probably all had clients like this or met potential clients, and even if there's something that is likable from the emotional side within myself, if I can find something that I can latch onto, okay, you know what? I like this about this person, and I focus on that. It allows me to ignore some of the stuff that I don't like as much, or that's harder to deal with, because I'm not like, I don't have a short fuse. We're going to talk about clients in a minute with short fuse. If you've ever dealt with that, there really are some good skills you need for that, but I don't have a short fuse. But if you've got clients with that, it doesn't mean they're bad people. Maybe they're going under stress of something else in their world, and it just is coming out in this real estate transaction. Do you ever do that? Do you ever focus on what you like about them?
I do focus on what I like about them, but more than anything, I want to make sure that I am catering to them in a way that it is a win-win for them.
Okay, tell me more about that.
Yeah, I want to make sure that, I'm catering to their personalities, to the husband or the wife, whichever one. Actually, both. I want to make it to where if the husband says, I want to know more about this, I want to know more about the return of investment. Of course, then I dive into, the statistics, the past history, all of that good stuff. And with the wife, I cater more towards her emotions, if that is who she is. But in some cases, she's a driver. We don't know that. Every time, one thing I've realized in our business, when you're talking to two couples, the person that is quiet is the person that's probably going to be making the decision.
Ooh, that's good.
Yeah. And then I wonder, okay, see, she or he is silent. I know that is the driver in this team right here. So how do I cater to the silent one? What do I say in order to make him or her happy and to win their business? What do I say to them?
All right, write that down, guys. If you're watching, that's my favorite takeaway from this whole thing. How do I cater to the silent one?
Yeah,
I love it.
How do you cater to the silent one?
Yeah. Because you have to learn, figure out what you have to assess and figure out what's important, and then figure out how do you communicate in a way to connect with them.
Yeah, exactly. Look at us, right, Jesse? In your relationship, I guarantee you, if it's not 50-50 between you and your wife is probably the driver. Well, we always say the wife is the driver in any relationship.
No, she's the decision maker, 100%. But she would be the quiet one. If we were sitting in a group, I'd be the one talking. She'd be the quiet one. But she's the decision maker. Yeah.
There you go. See, yeah. Well, in my relationship with my husband, I will be the talker. He will be the quiet one, but I'm the decision maker. That's what he says. But I don't think that's true. I honestly think it is him. It is really him. So he's the quiet one, right? The silent one. So keep that in mind as well.
All right. Interesting. All right. So we got a few minutes left, guys. I want to know, how do you handle clients with a short fuse? It's going to happen. And even the nicest of clients, sometimes under stress. But if someone's just had a short fuse the whole time and you didn't fire them, but you kept moving forward, you're at this point, maybe you didn't realize they had a short fuse. What do you do from an emotional standpoint, from that side of it? How do you handle it?
I think, Jesse, the question should be like, what do you say? You need to let them know you got to be patient with the process.
Okay.
It is a process. And it's going to take time. It's going to take 30 days or 25 days to close it. You cannot be, and sometimes I just not ignore them, but I just not respond right away, and they'll get the message.
I like that. Sue just said in the box, make sure you always validate them. 100%. 100% Sue, you validate them. And before you validate, I want to make sure that I always let them have a chance to express whatever is going on with them. So if someone has a short fuse, this has been my, one of the things that's helped me many times in my career is that you let them express whatever they want to express, you validate them, and then I take full responsibility. I take responsibility for things that have nothing to do with me. Yeah. And I'll say, I'll take full responsibility for that. And I will literally say, I take full responsibility for that.
And they calm down. Yeah. Completely calm down, which I love, because You took responsibility for it. And then they're like, okay, backseat now.
Yeah.
Thank you for acknowledging it. And I love what Mary just said is, how do you deal with a client who thinks they know it better than you? And most people will think they know the market better than you, especially the ones that hear from their friends. See, these are great topics of discussion, Jesse.
I've got a good one-liner for that one.
Yeah.
If they know it better than you, write this down, guys. You want to say to them, you probably already know this.
Yes. ...
And then tell them, and they probably don't, but because you're, especially for high Ds, you're going to use it. But anyone who just, they think they know better than you say, look, you probably already know this. And then you tell them something that you're hopefully, is that what you do, Junkie?
I do. Oh my God. Yes.
Yeah. Do you have any other things that you do? Because that's my go-to, but for sure is all, but you probably already know this. But what do you say when you have a client who thinks they know better than you?
I always say, you know what? There's no other way to say it. I always say the same thing you do. You probably know this, but I want to just say it to you. And I'm sure you've heard it from friends that have purchased homes before, that it is a great market to buy a home in. Why? Let me tell you why. Or a great time to sell because of the low inventory. And I'm sure that's why you're calling me, because you probably already know this.
Yeah. And you don't have to say those words. I do say those words, so does Junkie. But that's the only way to deal with people who think they know better than you, is to use their own knowledge and to pump up their ego and make them feel really good. And then teach them something else that they don't know.
Exactly. I think it's a cater to them, right? Make them feel, and what, you don't always have to fight for that seat, right? You don't always have to be the dominant one. You have to sometimes let go, and it's okay, because guess what? At the end of the day, that client has to be happy, or should be happy, with the services you have to offer to them.
Yeah, 100%. Well, we're coming towards the end here. Do you have anything else, Junkie, that we didn't cover in the world of assessing personalities, in the world of dealing with them, meshing with your own? I honestly don't think we have not covered. I think we covered a lot, and I love the engagement with all our audiences that are chiming in. This is really good. I love it, because this is what we're all about, Jess. We love to see our Lab Coat community chiming in and talking to us, and I love it. So this is great. Cool. Yeah. I believe there is another webinar scheduled up after this one, so we will cap it off here, Jake. Guys, if you have more questions, tag us in that Facebook post. It's live on YouTube. It's live in Lab Coat Agents community. So we'll answer questions there. Just tag us, and we will go and continue to answer questions. Thank you all for joining us for Emotional Gymnastics.
And a quick announcement, guys. If you want to catch a replay of this, it's always recorded, and it's always available on our YouTube channel, Lab Coat Agents. So please subscribe and join us right there. Talk to you soon. Thank you so much, everyone. Bye.
Bye, guys. Bye, everybody. Produced by the Agent Collective Media Network.